Hi everyone, welcome to Write Bike Repeats Highlights Reel. I have with me a very special guest today. It's Frederik Bohé, from Denmark. Hi, nice to have you. Thank you for joining. So we're going to have a really good chat today about some of your favourite moments from the cycling year. Safe to say, it's been a real year for Denmark. So I'm really excited to have a Danish fan on quite early on, so we can chat about, I think we could probably fill like a top 10 of just from Danish moments from the year.
Probably enough.
How has it been received over there? What's it like? Are you all feeling very smug?
Yeah, well, it's quite amazing time, like not just this year, but the last couple of years leading up to this year probably being the best of many years for Danish cycling. I think the talents just keep coming. It's so many young riders, and it's especially the young generation of Danish riders right now really taking over. So really excited to watching that as the Danish fan for a long time. I think Denmark has been quite dominating in the juniors, but for some years we struggled to translate that into the pro level too. But now it's really coming together, and yeah, it's just new results, top results all over the place. Really exciting.
Yeah, it must be amazing to be. Is it obviously it's quite a big cycling nation in terms of enthusiasm for the sport. Is it quite popular in the media? Like, is it sort of back page news in the sports media and that kind of thing?
It's quite big, I would say. We have national coverage of most of the big races, and really good like experts and stuff like that, and great coverage. I think ever since going a little bit back, ever since 1996, where Bjarne Riis won the Tour de France from Denmark, so that's 25 years back. Ever since then, it's been a pretty big sport in Denmark, and it can't compete with football, and I think we have some other things that are a little bit bigger as well, but it's up there probably, I mean, top 5, top 10 sports at least, something like that in Denmark. So quite huge, and a lot of people following it.
That's really good. So you sort of had the kind of breakthrough year like 25 years ago, whereas over in Britain we had our 2012 was our year when Wiggins won the Tour, and
right.
That kind of catapulted cycling into the media, but it didn't last long. Obviously we've got lots of really passionate fans over here, but the media isn't so keen, which is a shame. But yeah, no, so it's really good to hear. So tell me about your own cycling history in terms of being a fan. I know you ride as well, don't you? So,
yeah, that's correct. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I come out of a cycling family pretty much. My mom and my dad has both been training and also racing to a certain extent. So ever since I was pretty small, I was interested in cycling, and the races was on the TV. Ever since I was 9 years old, I started riding myself competitively, and from around that age, I was very interested in professional cycling, and starts with the Tour de France, but quickly expands to the whole pro season. So it's kind of just been going uphill like that with my interest in cycling ever since then, and it keeps going. Very much interested. I watch as much as I can, and I'm very involved in cycling. I still ride myself, and not on a very high level, but my sister is on a very high level. She's doing mountain bike, and she just went to the Olympics. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember you saying that's really cool. So does she ride for she rides a lot of competitions throughout the year as well?
Yeah, she's going all over the world to ride the World Cups for mountain bike, and yeah, she's home only half the time basically. And but it's very cool. She's a pro on Ghost Factory racing, and yeah, living the pro life in a mountain bike.
That's cool. Very nice. So that obviously influenced you growing up, riding yourself and watching what was going on the pro scene. What sort of key memories do you have of like your favorite riders growing up, who or key moments?
Yeah. I think actually going a little bit back again to Bjarne Riis, he was manager of Team CSC, Team Saxo Bank, Tinkoff Saxo, changed the name quite a few times, and that was the Danish team with a lot of Danish riders on as well. So growing up, that was my cycling world, and I was always cheering for that team, and of course especially the Danes, but really everyone on that team I was a big fan of. I think in particular I really adored Fabian Cancellara growing up. He was one of my heroes, and I just loved him race all the time. So I think he's been the biggest, the cyclist I've been the biggest fan of when I was smaller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, so moving forward to now, who do you support a team now, or particular riders, or just Danish riders? How do you cheer? Who do you cheer for?
Yeah, it's changed a bit since then, actually, because well, back then we had this one Danish team, and it was pretty obvious that I think most of Denmark were cheering for that team. Now we don't have a team from Denmark on the highest level anymore. We have more Danish riders spread across the team. So of course, I have a strong Danish bias. I guess the last couple of years I've liked to bet on cycling quite a lot as well. So sometimes that skews who I'm cheering for a little bit, and I might cheer for the one I put money on and not always go with the heart. But it's not as I don't have this locked in on one team. It's more like the riders I like and how the aggressive riders, across the teams.
Yeah, riders that are attacking and making races.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them, aren't there?
Exactly.
So you bet with your head rather than your heart. You don't always bet on the Danish riders.
Yeah, I don't. I think that you have to be a little cold there and differentiate it between who you cheer for in the heart and who you actually think there's value on and who you think can win. So otherwise, it can get a little dicey with putting money on something where it's not good. So.
Yeah, for sure. I dabbled a little bit in the Vuelta. Yeah, I sort of broke even, but
it's pretty good. I mean, it's hard to break even. It's not easy. There's a large gap to beat the bookmakers. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. There's a lot of brilliant tips out there on Twitter.
Exactly.
So in terms of the Danish season, obviously we've had like riders from all directions succeed in doing really well. We had obviously Magnus Kort at the Vuelta. Vingegaard had an amazing not breakthrough season, but certainly
sort of.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So what Danish riders are you favourites? Who do you kind of follow the most closely?
Yeah, I think the ones around my birth year. I'm from 1996, and that means I've some of the ones that also rode when I was younger. I have actually been competing against from my year in 1995 and the 1997. So Mads Pedersen is one I have done a lot of races and been beaten by many times, and I think he's a really cool rider to watch. I love following him. And then another Pedersen, actually, Kasper Pedersen, who's not as famous or big, but he got a little bit of a breakthrough last year, winning Paris Tours. He's a friend of mine, actually, so I always cheer for him.
DSM. DSM.
Yes, DSM. Yeah, correct. And then I will go for the two more. I will say the Andreas Kron and Andreas Stockbro. Also two riders I've been friends of mine that I've competed against, so I have a little extra cheer for them when they are on.
Yeah,
it's always fun seeing them go with the big guys.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And they're just, I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe it's like a mentality thing in Denmark, but there just seems to be no fear. Like they seem to fully believe that they belong at the front of races, and they all just, it's just been an amazing year. I certainly enjoy watching all the Danish riders. Let's move on to your moments then. So we've got a few categories to go through and talk about kind of what made your year watching pro cycling so good.
Yes.
So we'll start with your biggest cheer moment. So what was it that made you jump out of your seat and shout, and just, the best moment for you?
Yeah, I'll tell a little bit of the story of a story behind it. I've chosen Mikael Valgren getting third place bronze at the Worlds not too long ago, but I was away to the other part of Denmark with my local club to do like two of the last races of the season. So I was there with other like-minded riders, and we had just done the race and was about to drive a long way back. We were watching the whole day, like on the phones, trying to keep up. And by the end of it, there was 25 kilometers left. We had been watching on the phone, and then we went into the side of the road, and we were three guys, and we were shouting and cheering and really hoping for Valgren to finally get the medal, which I think is so deserved. And when he got it, we were very loud and maybe looked a little stupid in the middle of nowhere, but we were cheering, and it was kind of fun. So that's
You had a good.
I feel like a true fan there.
Yeah, I love that. I love. Firstly, I love that it's not necessarily a victory that you've chosen. Like, it's not a first across the line moment, but it's so meaningful. And I love the story behind it, and that it's not just, you know, any other day when you're sitting on the sofa watching cycling on TV. Exactly. He did amazingly well, didn't he? So how long did you get to stand and watch for? What point did you kind of pick it up?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit on and off because we were at the race. I did my own race in the morning, and then I had to wait for some of the others doing their races. So it was like trying to hang on the watch it on the phone. I think the last 100 kilometers or so, I was more or less I saw all of it, even though it was on the phone. And I think, especially for Mikkel Valgren, I think it's so deserved, especially for him, looking at his past Worlds results. Like that's 4 years in a row now with top 11 at Worlds, which is like an incredible stat, and almost, I don't think anyone else has, I mean, no one else has done that in the last 4 years at least. And it's so hard to be so consistent. It's such a difficult race. So I'm really happy that he finally got to be the one that, we could cheer for, and not just helping Mads Pedersen to win or helping the others.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a medal that he kind of worked his way up to, I guess, over the last few years.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing habit of peaking at the right time.
Yes. He's really a championship rider, I would say. Like you sometimes you don't really see him for the whole year, but at Worlds he's always there. Somehow he just manages to time the form perfectly for that.
He got a couple of wins in Italy, didn't he, that sort of previous weeks, and I think that
right, yeah, he was like on no one's radar, and then he got 2 wins in a row back to back, like what was it, 1 or 2 weeks before the Worlds, and suddenly everyone was looking at him. So he just knows how to time his form, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty impressive, to be honest. And when you looked at the team that you guys had there, there was many possible winners. Do you hear in the Danish media about how they plan the race, or did you know that they were riding for Valgren, or what was the plan?
There was a lot of talk about this up to it, but I think probably the strongest team Denmark has ever had, if you look objectively at like an 8 full-man roster for Worlds. No clear favorite, you know, we didn't have the top 1 favorite to win, but we had like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 guys among the top 20 favorites maybe. So one of the strongest teams, and they the national coach Anders Lund, former pro, he announced pretty clearly or openly the tactics, that there were 5 riders that sort of had a shared leadership, and so very, very broad and open, a little bit the opposite of what Belgium did. And then we had 3 riders, Mikkel Bjerg, Mads Wurz, and one more, who were designated to help those 5. So Valgren was one of the 5, but not at all was he the only one. We had Mads Pedersen, Kasper Asgreen, Magnus Kort, Mikkel Honoré as the final leader. So, and all of those, honestly, on a good day, could compete for a medal, I think. Sure. So we, after the race, we were told that, I mean, there was some bad luck. Mads Pedersen crashed out, Honoré crashed out. Apparently Asgreen was sort of sick on the day, and wasn't feeling well, so he told that to the team early, and he's ended up working a little bit as a helper as well. And he was actually the one getting Valgren just up to the front group as the last man who catch that group. So they did end up working together, but I guess even though they got a medal, the race didn't really go how Denmark planned it to. We wanted to be the ones attacking and being up front, and we were a little bit behind in the end. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's what everyone was expecting, that kind of the Danish attack. I think it was the team to fear, really. Obviously, Belgium were united behind one leader, but that strategy didn't work out in the end. And Denmark were, you know, having that kind of strength and depth. But yeah, a bit of bad luck on the day.
Yeah, I think so.
Fabulous. Well, that was a really good choice and a great story behind it. So our second category is our sad category, when moments that made you shed a tear this year. So we've got a couple of things to chat about here, I think, but I'll
go with the first one.
Yeah.
The first one is that the crash of Alejandro Valverde at I think it was stage 7 in the Vuelta, where I'm a huge Valverde fan, I'll admit. He's been, ever since I started following pro cycling, he's been there. So it's like the one stable that's always there. And I really like to cheer for him. And I love that he keeps going and just gets older and older and still keeps delivering. And when I saw that crash, it looked so bad. He went over the hill, outside the road and fell down. And I honestly thought that was it for him, for his pro career, that was how it was going to end. And to me, such a great rider with such a great career, it was pretty sad if it was going to end like that. I guess looking back now, it's not so sad after all. He, like he always does, he came back just as strong as he was when he crashed out. So it's more like it was sad in the moment, I will say, seeing it. Now we can, okay, it turned out okay. He got, I guess, pretty lucky and managed to come back.
When you see that video of what was beyond where he, when he that kind of drop, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he's lucky to just survive, and let alone that he is able to do the last part of the season is incredible. I think no one could have expected that. And there were the pictures of his teammate Rokas, I think, who was helping him up, and it was a pretty sad moment, I think.
It was, and I think that he was really upset in the moment, and I think a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that maybe the reason he was so sad was because he thought that was his last Vuelta.
Yeah, exactly, and maybe he thought so. I don't know, but it could have been. It could have been, because it really looked grim at the moment. Yeah,
for sure. And then for him to come back a week later and say he was going to ride on into 2022. Yeah. He's going to be going on forever, isn't he?
Exactly. I don't see him ever stopping. I don't know. I think he just can't. He can't get himself to stop, and for some reason he just keeps having an incredible level. He's always up there. Maybe he's not getting the wins as often anymore, but his lowest level is really, really high.
Yeah, for sure. He's always in contention. He's always there or thereabouts.
Exactly.
And the other one is a genuinely, obviously, very sad thing. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
I mean, this is also a little bit of a Danish thing, but I think the whole cycling world has been mourning the death of Chris Ankersen, who, former pro, now an expert and a commentator for Danish television. Very, very liked and known in Denmark, and I think all of Denmark has been mourning his loss. Just a great person all around. And he died when he was on the bike preparing for commentating on Worlds and Flanders, and had an accident. And that is the actual moment where I've shed a tear of the season. So
very sad, and obviously for it to happen during the World Championships, and as you say, it kind of brought everyone together, I think, but united everyone, I think.
That's true.
It happened, but of course for you guys in Denmark, it's going to strike a chord, I think. Really sad. To talk about your biggest surprise of the season, so something that really caught you off guard, in a good or bad way. So what did you choose?
I chose not Kasper Asgreen winning the Tour of Flanders, but beating Mathieu van der Poel in a one-on-one sprint for the finish. I think Asgreen was one of the favorites going into the race. He just won E3, I want to say Harlebeke, I think it's Saxo Bank Classic now, a few weeks prior. And he was one of the favorites, so it's maybe not the biggest surprise that he ended up winning, but the way he won it and getting into that final with the one-on-one with Mathieu van der Poel, one of the fastest guys in the world. I think, at least at the time, with what we knew at the time, that was such a big surprise that Asgreen in a sprint, who he's a famously known time trialist, that he just demolished van der Poel. I think maybe now people can say, oh yeah, sure, we have seen Van der Poel in Roubaix as well, fall short after these long races. And some people point to Asgreen not being so slow after all. But I think with the information we had then, that was just, no one should have expected that to happen, I think. So a really cool moment and an amazing win for a Danish guy as well.
Yeah, of course. So I guess you could probably have chosen it for your biggest cheer moment as well. Because
I could have,
a huge win for him. But as you say, the method of the win, if he'd gotten off on a solo or something, he would have been, you would have believed it. It would have been totally reasonable.
Everyone expected him to go solo, right? That's the way he wins these races. So, and maybe he could beat someone in a sprint, but beating Mathieu van der Poel in a sprint, that seemed surreal at the moment.
At Flanders, and it was obviously talent, Van Aert, Van der Poel kind of battle, and then
he just came in and took it from them. Kind of, it felt like he stole it at the moment. I think when he just took the win. Everyone expected Van der Poel to win that sprint.
It was quite something. you just don't expect, or you didn't expect at the time, him to blow up so significantly. But actually, yeah, as you say, Asgreen did have a real turn of speed on him at the time. Like,
yeah, I mean, he does have some speed, and I think, I mean, it's been said afterwards that it's easy to analyze it afterwards. That yeah, okay, after such a long day, and Van der Poel tends to really spend his energy. He put everything out there on the road. Sometimes he falls a little short in the end of the races. So it kind of does make some sense, but still, I think I would not have expected that. I didn't expect it at the time, and it was a huge surprise.
Definitely. Good. So the next category that I've put in is maybe it's your one memory. So something that's really significant from the whole of cycling. It might not be your personal favorite moment, but the most significant or the most special moment that you will kind of look back on and think 2021, this thing happened. So what did you choose for that category?
Yeah, I thought of this category as what story could you take and make into a movie or make into a book, write a book about it? And I thought the best, it's almost like it's scripted the whole way through. The comeback of Mark Cavendish. You couldn't make these things up. Going from all the way from back to last year when he was crying at what he thought might be his last race, and everyone was so sad to see him go out like that. Then this wonderful story of him getting another contract or one more year on one of his old teams, even though he had to bring in his own sponsors and all that. But okay, he gets to try again. He gets to finish with dignity. I think that was what everyone was thinking. But no one could at that point expect that he would come back and start winning again. He got his first couple of good results. Then I think at Tour of Turkey, he turned it around and actually got some wins, got 4 wins in like a sprinter's race, but still kind of a low level race. I think already from back then, the story of like I think maybe Benji Larsen was the one starting the Cavendish to the Tour and wanting to go for that old record of Max getting 34 stage wins. And it was honestly kind of a joke, right? Everyone was sure it would be nice to see, but no one really believed it. And well, it turns out Sam Bennett has some issues with the knee, and everything just perfectly worked together for Mark to come back and be in his last tour, what we thought would be his last tour at least. And still then, no one expected him to really do so well. And maybe at best case, he could get a 1 win, right? But yeah, he just took 4 wins. He tied the record and he won the green jersey. I think that's just completely incredible. And it feels like something taken out of a story to me, that whole sequence of events happening.
Yeah, totally. Like when you say it like that, it reminds you just how incredible the whole story is. I remember, as you said about Benji Larsen putting that cab to the Tour thing, and everyone just laughing about it, just it's a lovely idea. That's a nice,
exactly, that's how everyone thought, like, yeah, sure, it's a fun idea, right? It sounds good, would be nice. But it was just, he would obviously be Bennett would be chosen over him, but as you say, that fate just kind of intervened, and it kind of felt like that.
Yeah, the dominoes just fell, didn't they? And then for him to hit form just at the right time to go in and start actually winning, and then not only to win one stage, but just one after the other. Pretty
they kept coming, and I guess to put a cherry on top would have been to getting the 35th on the Champs-Élysées, but Wout van Aert denied that. But I'm looking forward to see how the story continues, and if we may even see him get another season and go for the record. I mean, would be amazing to see.
It would, yeah. One more cabs to the Tour, and I think that would do, wouldn't it? That's a great choice. I'm sure that many cycling fans will share that opinion of the thing that they'll remember most about this tour. I mean, season.
The whole year.
The whole year, exactly. So now we come to the unsung hero category, or your MVP, who maybe isn't the most obvious choice. Someone who worked really hard all year, who you'd think deserves some recognition. So tell me who you've chosen.
Right, I've chosen Victor Kampenaerts as a little bit of an odd choice. I think the first thing that came to mind, but it was Michael Mørkøv, Danish guy, the lead-up man. But honestly, he's maybe 2 years ago that would have made sense, but he's getting a lot of praise now. He just won an Olympic gold medal on the track. So I think maybe he's getting, I wouldn't say enough praise. He's a great rider. He deserves all the praise, but he's getting some recognition for what he's doing. I wanted to go with something a little different. Maybe not something who's working for others that much. At least he's also doing that. But Victor Campenaerts, I chose him because of his completely change of nature as a writer. He's well, I believe he still has the hour record, but at least he's coming from a complete time trialist, like so specialized, like no one else really. That's all his results prior to this year was from the time trials. And yeah, I guess he started seeing these insanely good writers coming up, the Remco Evenepoel, Wout van Aert, suddenly beating him, even though he was the specialist and he couldn't even get selected for the Worlds or the Olympics anymore in his special discipline. And then he's just completely accepted that, changed how he writes, and become this incredibly aggressive writer who's always up there in the front, always taking matters into his own hand, putting everything out on the road. And I mean, we have seen him in the front so often, and we have seen him also, what's the phrase, like die with the boots on so often, where he's in front, but we had the funny moment of Campenaerts when he was cramping up in one of the finals. And but I really respect that, like just always being in the front and trying. He's been trying so much, and it also paid off. He got the win, a stage win in the Giro d'Italia, and it was not in the time trial. It was through a breakaway, and he even did a sprint in a one-on-one to get the win, which is something I don't think he would have believed to be able to do a few years back. So I think it's a really cool story.
I love this choice, and I'm so like 100% with you. I'm writing an article about sort of people that we've rediscovered or fell in love with, or kind of just special people from this year, and Victor's up there for me. And I mentioned it on, what day was it? At Lombardia, I think, because he was out in the front for a while. And it's just, he just must have logged so many hours in the breakaway this year, and he wants to work hard. He wants to bring races to life. He works for Jersey as well. That's, you can tell that Quebecer is important to him. His team are important to him. And it's just, I love that. I love that story. He's just willing to turn it around, and it earned him a place in the Belgium team, which
very deservedly, I think.
Earlier in the season.
Yeah, so cool. I really admire his just not being mad or anything about kind of accepting his fate, but then taking it into his own hands and turning it around and making something else of himself. I think it's really, really cool. Yeah,
definitely. It's an inspirational story, actually, and like it's a really good role model, I think, as well for younger riders to see what you can achieve and how you can really get, you can get enjoyment out of the sport without having to be the one who's winning everything.
Right. That's kind of what he's doing. Yeah. Always riding in a happy manner and taking on the challenges. Yeah.
Definitely. Great choice. Very happy with that one. That's a good one. So we'll leave with one more. I'm calling this one for the road. It's like anything you want to talk about, basically. One more thing, something you're looking forward to for next year, or something that you couldn't leave without mentioning about this year. So what have you gone for?
Yeah, I've kind of gone for some sort of overarching theme. I think I'm seeing in pro cycling, kind of a lot of these other things I've talked about stems through, I think, a little bit of a change in pro cycling. We're seeing this, I think, the new era of cyclists, I kind of call them the superhuman cyclists, the ones that can do almost anything. Like we have Wout van Aert, who's winning in the mountains, in the sprints, in the time trials. But it's not just him. It's not just the young generation. There's a lot of those, Evenepoel, Van der Poel, but also we see I think the older generation reacting to that. We see someone like Magnus Kort, Sonny Colbrelli, who suddenly are doing these sort of similar feats of completely, it feels like sometimes superhuman efforts where they can do. They're both like sort of sprinters, and this year they have been doing incredible things, climbing so well. Kort almost winning the time trial as well in the Vuelta, and I feel like there's some sort of change in cycling, and it also results in earlier the races opening much earlier. Not just the team always working, but the leaders themselves going on the attack. really, really early, and it creates some great racing to watch. And I'm pretty happy about how it's developing. But it seems to me like this is a little bit of a change compared to maybe 10 years ago. I think it's going in the direction of these very open races, these superhuman riders that, challenge each other on all different fields, basically. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes you wonder, doesn't it, whether the racing's changed because of them or they've changed because of the racing change. And it's a really interesting kind of subject to look at. And is it a post-COVID thing because everyone came out like all guns blazing, wanting to race really hard? But you get, as you say, like so many sort of multidisciplinarians that no one can ever relax in a stage race.
Exactly.
One day when they can kind of take the brakes off, which makes it, I mean, it's great for us, isn't it, as fans?
I think it's very hard for some of the racers. I would imagine that like no break days, as you say, but it's really, really great as a fan to watch. Just makes for great racing. And I think we're getting more and more of these legendary status races. We have so many to look back on this year where the race just blows open super early, and we have the biggest names in the world fighting against each other. Maybe even like Pogacar versus Van der Poel in the Tirreno stage, where it's like two riders that don't usually compete too much against each other because they are good at different things, but suddenly in these sort of races, everything can happen. And we see Van der Poel go clear with 3 minutes and Pogacar chasing him alone. And it's just surreal to watch.
It's absolute madness, that stage. I've been talking about it a little bit online today and just remembering how completely bonkers it is. Like, it's just, as you said, it's changing it's like rewriting the rules. Like,
kind of is,
Expect from pro bike racing has been just sort of thrown out the window. It'll be really interesting to see if that pattern continues. And I also love how you might go into a race with Van Aert or Van der Poel or somebody like that being the favourite, but there's absolutely no guarantees, is there? Like,
exactly. Like, and that's what I feel like, that the cycling world is adapting to these phenomenons. That and there's not that much respect. The young riders just come in and they feel like they belong at the top level, and they don't care if it's Valverde or whoever big name they're riding along with. They will just attack and go on the front. And I think that's also what creates this great racing. That maybe the rules, as you say, have been changed, but also they're just almost non-existent anymore. There is not that many rules. The young riders don't care if the breakaway is gone. They will just ride again and go make a new breakaway and go after it. They don't care too much about all these unwritten rules that used to be in cycling. Yeah,
for sure. And like that, I don't want to say lack of respect, because that sounds, they obviously respect, the older riders.
Yeah, I understand.
Lack of fear, maybe, or a lack of kind of, they've got this desire to challenge, I guess. They're not going to sit behind the patron who's going to control everything for all but the last 10 kilometers. It is really exciting. Is there any particular battles that you would like to see next year, head-to-heads, or any particular races where you think we could see this coming to a head?
Yeah, I mean, we have some ongoing battles, of course. The Van der Poel versus Van Aert. We have the Slovenians, the Roglic versus Pogacar. I would really, really like to see that, actually, because we didn't truly have that this year. Probably for the Tour, but at least a Grand Tour, both in shape, no crashes. Roglic versus Pogacar. I think we deserve a rematch after the Tour last year. Where we can see them fight it out, because they've been pretty clearly seem to be the strongest Grand Tour riders we've had this year, but we haven't really had the chance to see them battle it out. So that's something I would like to see. Yeah, I would echo that. That's would be really good to see. Fantastic. So there's so much to remember from this year, and also so much to look forward to coming up for sure in 2022. Thank you so much for joining me, and it's been really fun chatting about thanks for having me.
All the time, so it's just a small window into but it's been great to chat, and also find out about all your moments and about Danish cycling, how good it is at the moment. I'm sure it will continue next year. You've been listening to Write Bike Repeat's highlights reel in association with Quicklink Podcast and writebikerepeat.com. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share and subscribe to the channel to get updates when new shows are posted. Follow me over on Twitter @writebikerepeat, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much for listening.